Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm on the spectrum. I have ASD. I've taken development classes in middle school and in high school, and I'm putting that out there because people playing the I'm a Marvel, I'm a DC game, but actually taking it somewhat seriously is the most autistic shit I've seen in my life. And I don't want to play the look at me, I'm smart because I don't play your silly nerd games. I'm not doing that, or at the very least, I'm not trying to do that. I find it really weird when people who have like a solid 25, 30 years on me dogmatically defend their corporate daddies, and they're 100% not joking. Now that's weird, right? Or am I weird for thinking that's weird? Because, make no mistake, I've definitely made videos in the past where I've said that I grew up as a Marvel kid, but I prefer DC now, and all that kind of stuff. But if I were going to offer myself a defense, I've been doing YouTube off and on for about 10 years now. I started this channel when I was in middle school, so obviously, I've said some pretty dumb shit in that time. Especially in my late teens and early 20s when I started having opinions about stuff. But yeah, I think kids can get away with stuff like that. What I'm really talking about are adults. Like, grown-ass men and women who walk into comic shops, in some cases have been reading comics their whole life, and now have children of their own, treating Marvel and DC respectively like some sort of religion. I think that's weird. Now, I remember back when I worked at my local comic shop, I was doing inventory and my girlfriend came over to visit me, and we were entertaining some of the customers by talking to them and whatnot. And I don't want to bust this guy's balls too badly because he's a buddy of mine now, but every once in a while I'll chip his bricks about this. He said, and I shit you not, he said, Marvel is better than DC because Superman can only be white, whereas characters like Luke Cage and Misty Knight can be any color because they're more versatile than Superman and DC characters on the whole. Confusion of the highest order. And that's not the first or last time I've heard somebody try to justify liking one corporation over the other. In a somewhat less bizarre encounter, again at my local comic shop, there was a guy who walked up to me while his kids went off in the store to look at stuff and whatever, and he tried to make conversation, and he said, I now know why Iron Man is better than Batman, and why Marvel characters are better than DC's. It's because with Iron Man, he builds stuff, Batman just beats people up. But Marvel characters, they're smart, see? DC characters, they just punch people. And he was so sure of himself in what he said. Now this man, he was convinced of his intelligence. And my response was completely involuntary, but I think I did something with my eyes where I just looked at him weird, because this is awful. But my first thoughts upon hearing that were, oh dear God, you've reproduced, and you're gonna raise your kids to be just as retarded as you are. See, this is what Company Wars does to you. It rots your brain. And here's my whole thing. There's not that much of a difference between Marvel and DC. And people who wave a fucking sword and say otherwise are brand whores. They're corporate cum sluts. Now, okay, let me take a step back. Okay, are there differences between Marvel and DC? Of course there are. I'm still really proud of the way I put it in my retrospective series for Mark Millar and Brian Hitch's The Ultimates. It's not gods wanting to be people and people wanting to be gods. DC is the triumph of the human condition through the lens of mythology, and Marvel is a social political satire of the American superhero concept. At least that's what they used to be, but that's a topic of discussion for another day. But even with that bit of nuance, it's still niggas in capes and tights getting into street fights with other niggas in capes and tights over moral dilemmas. Sometimes the good guys have to fight cosmic gods and eldritch monsters and intergalactic tyrants and all that shit. But bro, it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. The only key difference is the tone and style in which they deliver the narrative. Also, if you're hardcore in the Marvel vs. DC game, might I suggest broadening your horizons? Because if it's superheroes that scratch your itch, other publishers put out superhero comics. Image, Dark Horse, Valiant. There's also superhero manga. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people who read comics and have been reading comics for a long time busted their cherry on superhero comics from either Marvel or DC, and then they never ventured out beyond that. And even if they did, sometimes they have this weird sense of loyalty to whatever brand they were indoctrinated under. I don't know, it just seems really weird to me. But please don't think I'm some sort of like, oh, you only read Marvel and DC? Well, that makes me better than you because I read indie comics. I'm not one of those people. Indie hipsters are just as insufferable to be around as corporate cumsluts. I guess I just don't understand limiting yourself to one publisher in the way they do things. I mean, if you have a preference based on certain characters that you like under the Marvel DC banner respectively, that's one thing. But to say, just DC for me, or make mine Marvel, and just write everyone else off? Dude, it's comics, not a relationship. You don't have to be so damn monogamous. I mean, it's not like the writers, artists, letterers, colorists, or editors are doing so. So why should you, as the customer? Anyways, what are your thoughts on the whole company wars thing? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel. Thank you for watching, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, take care of yourself.
Show me what you got. This is over.